Gems from Savitri. So, Book 1, Canto 3, there is a beautiful passage which reveals to us that we are not just this bodily appearance. All the time we are so much focused. Now, body is a vehicle, but the vehicle is neither the person. To an extent, it can tell us something about the person. To an extent, it can. There's a whole science with which you can, looking at a body, its different way it is constituted, one can arrive at the inner being of a person. But that's a whole science. It's not like our likes and dislikes. So, but still it is a vehicle. More important than the vehicle is the one who is traveling in the vehicle. This is a beautiful description and worth remembering all the time, especially in times as these, and in all times, in fact. It's on page 23. This bodily appearance is not all. The first thing that science teaches us and spirituality teaches us is spirituality that do not go by appearances. There is a deeper reality, and this reality is deeper and deeper and deeper. You know the story of that Sishya and Guru, father and son. So the Sishya goes and says, "What is that reality which you speak of? I want to know." So the father tells him, "You think about it and come back and tell me." So he thinks and says, "I think body is that ultimate reality. Annam Brahmeti." Father says, "Yeah, but body is like dead inert. Think more." So he comes back and says, "Well, the energy that drives to the body, that is the ultimate reality. Pranam Brahmeti." He says, "Yes, energy drives, but what is the direction?" So he goes, thinks, and comes back, says, "Mana Brahmeti." It is the mind, the thought which drives the energy on its path. He says, "Good, you seem to be improving. But what sets the mind towards its goal? So go back, reflect." Then he comes back and says, "Vijnanam Brahmeti." It is a greater consciousness, a deeper consciousness that uses the mind to drive it upon its path. Very good. But there is one more step you must take. Why is it all? So he goes back and comes back and says, "Okay, now I found the answer." It's very wonderful. Anandam Brahmeti. It is Anandam. This whole Srishti is for Ananda. He says, "Yes, now you are a graduate." So this bodily appearance is not all. It's only a tool, an instrument. What forces you allow to use this body, depending on that, the body will develop health, illness, and many other things. All kinds of force. And if you look at the body's arrangement, very beautifully it is hierarchically arranged. The forces of reproduction, elimination are lowest on the order. Then the forces of fear, ambition, all these, greed, stomach, eating, ambition here, further up, and emotions, feelings, still further. Then speech, expression, sight, vision, and thought. This is how the body is arranged in a very hierarchical way. So each force is necessary for the totality. But if you excessively allow, in a normal, we are not talking of transformation. If we allow one side to be exaggerated while other sides are suffering, it tends to create an imbalance in the body. So first thing we need to, and the body falls ill. So first thing to understand is the body is an appearance, it is a tool, it's an instrument. But who is the user of the tool? That Sri Aurobindo reveals to us now. The form deceives. The person is a mask. How does the form deceive? That we know very well. Anybody comes, especially and speaks good English, especially if he has those nuances, like today. You know what? When I was back home there in, I want to name, Oh, I did my PhD. You are very impressed. Suddenly you drop all guards. And if a person comes from, Dehat. What is Dehat? Rustic village. And he says, Bhaiya, pani kahan milega? Dekh nahi raha hai? Don't you see it is there? This is how we are deceived by appearances all the time. What do we know? How much conscious? That's how when somebody wrote to the mother, not to the mother, a French journalist, he came and wrote an article about India. It's all rustic villagers, Gawar. So this was reported to the mother, and she said, blinded by appearances, he has gone by the side of the very God whom he denies. And he says, an average, illiterate, rustic peasant in India is inwardly more developed, more spiritual than the educated elite of the Western world. Something to that effect. But we are deceived by appearances. So the form deceives. Physical beauty doesn't necessarily mean inner beauty. It may be there, may not be there. Vice versa. One of the ugliest person in history, in the Indian context, he is known for ugliness only. Astavakra. Why? Because he was bent in eight places. He could not stand straight. And in the Western context, Socrates. His wife disowned him. The fellow is so ugly and he talks is beyond our head. So he was roaming around, but always so much full of joy and knowledge, wisdom. Socrates is known for his wisdom. So the form deceives. The person is a mask. The word person comes from the word persona, which actually means a mask. The person. What is the person? Outer person. We are impressed not only by the form, but also by the speech, by the, how many papers one has submitted, all these things which can completely deceive us. Sri Aurobindo, one of the first things that drops from him, he says in the jail, Vasudev shows him that those in our false pride we call as Bhadralok and Chottolok. In Bengal you call Chottolok. Chottolok means small, petty humanity. He says that Shri Krishna showed that it is these people I am raising. And that's why in the Bible it is said, it is the weak and the meek who shall inherit the earth. And we have this distinction, Chottoloko, he is an ordinary fellow. So, he says, the form deceives, the person is a mask. Hid deep in man, celestial powers can dwell. All these gods, Devi, Devta, Mandir you are going, they are all within us. If you see the Kundalini, you will see this God is located here, this God is located here. When you awaken these centers of celestial force, that particular God manifests through us. It is only when we don't have these, then we have to go somewhere outside. But all these gods, Devi Devta, they're all within the human being. In fact, there is a very beautiful mystic truth in the Upanishad. The pind is the Brahmand. So what is the pind? Pind is lump of clay, matter. So what does the pind contains? Brahmand. What does it mean? The entire cosmos with all its forces, energies and beings is inside the pind. And it is given to human being when this pind, lump of clay, becomes man, that you can awaken the entire Brahmand within the pind through this body. So hid deep in man, celestial powers can dwell. His fragile ship conveys through the sea of years. Rickety, fragile ship. Born, death, disease, all this fragile ship through the sea of years. An incognito of the imperishable. What a wonderful word he has used. Who is an incognito? Somebody who is there, but whom nobody knows. Incognito. There always used to be people in trains incognito. They are traveling in somebody's seat. Then if the conductor comes, they go on some other seat. Like that they are traveling. So incognito. But here it's in the highest sense. Incognito means nobody recognizes, nobody knows him. And who is this incognito? He is the delegate, imperishable. He cannot be destroyed. He is traveling in this ship, royally hidden. And the classical example is Mother's Voyage. When the priests come and tell her, Sunday they have the mass and the mother doesn't go. So they come and tell her, why you didn't come for the mass, for the church? She said, because I don't believe in your God. What do you mean? First he avoided the question. She said, do you really want to know? He said, yes. He said, because you people are not sincere. And then she gave an example. You were doing all this. The moment you stepped out, all of you were drinking, smoking, playing cards. And he says, this conception of God, this is not what I believe in. And then she tells them that, you are going all the way to China and India to convert people. 2000 years before, thousands of years before your religion was born, they had found a way to find God and unite with it. And you want to teach them? So this is the way, but incognito. Did any of them knew that she is the world mother? Imagine that priest. Did he even imagine that whom he is speaking to? He comes and tells her. Imagine literally telling God that, won't you come for your service? And she says, incognito of the imperishable, a spirit that is a flame of God abides. What is this psychic being? He describes it as a flame of God. So there is the Atma, which is the cosmic spirit. There is the Jivatma. Jivatma has two aspects: the central being beyond time and place, but the psychic being which enters into the play. It is not yet a being, but it will develop over lives and develop into a full-fledged psychic being. So usually it is a little drop, a spark, and develops into a flame, small flame, angusht matra, or it can develop much further. So a spirit that is a flame of God abides. Can you imagine a flame of God, indestructible? What it means? We carry within ourselves that portion of the divine himself, a flame of God. A fiery portion of the wonderful, artist of his own beauty and delight. It organizes its life. It can completely change the fate. It has that power within. It can call in the intervention of the highest just by a little flame upturned. And Mother says it has the power, this flame of aspiration, to call in an intervention and completely annul the consequences of karma. That is its power. Just a little aspiration and little faith is enough. Where is that seed? It is here in this flame. We are not aware that we are carrying with us whom we are carrying within us. How helpless we feel, as if we are, there is a word which should never, one of the things people run is orphanages. So one of these Sri Aurobindo centers at some place long back, 30 years back. So they were running an orphanage. So I said, why do you call them orphan? He said, no, because, parents are not there. I said, in India we don't have this concept of anath. All are sanath. The divine is with everyone. Then I spoke about the story of Shakuntala. Shakuntala is born below a tree. Anybody can take her away. And yet, because he is a child of destiny, the great, ultimate, who will sire all the Kauravas, Pandavas, Bharatvansh, then all these will come out of her. And she is guarded by the Shakun Pakshi. So she becomes Shakuntala, child of destiny. Karna, Moses, all of them, so-called discarded. But there is a Nath who takes care. And everybody is Sanath, if we understand. Divine has not abandoned anyone. But it's that instead of looking at him, we are looking everyone and everywhere else. It is his number that is not on our phone. I keep saying his number is very simple. 01. I prefer the 1 part. Some prefer 0 part. 0 can cancel everything. 1 can grant everything. It's the same truth. 0, nothingness. Supreme nothingness. What does this supreme nothingness hides? The one who is everywhere and in everything. 1. Ma. People don't call. She says, why don't you people call? Today I got a very interesting mail from someone. He says, I got up at 2:30 in the night and I was feeling very terrible fear and all kinds of symptoms, bodily, chest pain and all this was happening. So he says, I started wondering what to do and what could it be, all this. And at 5:30, he said, I remembered, fool, but aren't you supposed to call Ma? I'm telling you, today's beautiful experience. So he started calling Ma, Ma, Ma. He said, I slept so beautifully and I woke up, everything vanished. Now, people don't understand the power of this simple thing. Life becomes so complicated. On one side it is Ma, and the other side, but maybe Ma becomes May. Don't make Ma into May. Ma is Ma. She is the Supreme Mother. When you have handed yourself to her, handed yourself to her. She'll take care. How she will do, what she will do, which way she will do, leave it to her. And she has a strange way. I remember somebody, a lot of such stories. One story I'll tell you. There was this old man in his 80s and he had a frank heart attack and severe chest pain. He doesn't know what to do. Nobody is inside the room. Old man, can't even shout. So he started calling Ma. And then suddenly someone who stays above is passing by and he doesn't know anything, but just thinks, let me just go by the way and ask, is everything all right? When he goes inside, he sees that here is a man and immediately is taken. So even that way she can work. She can work in any which way. It is her ways. It is not that people sometimes say, okay, I have called mother, now I will not accept help from anybody. She may inspire, that story of the man who was drowning. And when people came to help him, he said, no, only my God will rescue me. So he prayed to God. So then the water came up to the chest level. So he went onto the roof. Then a helicopter came and told him, come sir. No, only my God will help me. The water is come up to here. With great daredevil stunt, some people came swimming, please come. No, my God will save me. Then he drowns. He goes to God, tells him, why didn't you save me? He said, 3 times I sent help to you. So he can work directly, he can work through human instruments, he can work through anything. So we should not think that it is either or. Some people say, no, I will not take medication. No, it's not that way you have to do it. She may directly intervene. If the body is receptive, you don't need anything. But sometimes you may need something external. It's perfectly fine. It's not an ego hassle. Because everything is an instrument of God. So we have this, a fiery portion of the wonderful artist of his own beauty and delight, immortal in our mortal poverty. Marvelous line. All else is poverty. Why Sri is using the word poverty? Because it is poverty because there is a time when nothing helps. That's why he is using the word mortal poverty. You may be the richest man on earth, but when death strikes you, the only thing which has the power to tell death, wait, you can wait, I have work to do. There is a psychic being, immortal in our mortal poverty. Everything else will be taken away, except that which is integrated with the soul. So, immortal in our mortal poverty. In the mute strength of the occult idea, determining predestined shape and act. Mute strength of the occult idea. Within the soul is embedded all our future, not just the past karma. Everybody keeps talking of past karma. But people don't talk about the future. It is also there within the soul. It is embedded inside. So the future will reveal. So whatever your past karma, the future will keep pulling you. And as the soul grows, everything will lead you toward the future. That is how. It is like a tree in the seed. How is the tree inside the seed? Mute strength of the occult idea, because of which all the RNA, DNA will move in a certain way. Passenger determining predestined shape and act. What we will be, what form we will assume, what are the steps of the journey, everything it contains. It knows. It may look like mistakes, errors, but the soul knows what experiences through which it must go to arrive. Passenger from life to life, from scale to scale. So this is the passenger. And what is the vehicle? The different bodies. And as it goes from life to life, there is a progress. So from scale to scale, changing his imaged self from form to form, he regards the icon growing by his gaze. And in the worm foresees the coming God. So we are all gods in the making. It's It's a huge project. So it's so wonderful to know that man is the living laboratory in which nature is trying to create a God out of animal. If we listen to what we are meant to become, then God treats us like a nice pet and we grow. But if we resist, then hunter wala roop. Then because ultimately it is going to be whatever is the idea inside us, real idea in creation, in cosmos, in an individual, will end up expressing. No human will can finally prevail against the divine will. But we have only two choices. We can play at cross purposes with the will, yet the will fulfill itself. Or we can play at harmony and in a beautiful way aligned to the will. These are the only two things given to man. And if we leave it to the soul, it will always align itself to the true will within us. But if we leave it to the mind and the vital, then they will always try to play cross purposes. But even that the soul uses for the growth and the destined progress. Namaste.